KwaZulu-Natal Inland and Mpumalanga have been eliminated from Pool B, while and um, the Knights and the Titans have obviously transgressed into the next round of the quarterfinals. So, guys, you can see I'm going to be a bit slow tonight on this particular show. I don't know why, but I think I'm one of the only people that are feeling some hectic vaccine type symptoms. I don't know. My chakra feels a little bit depleted. So yeah, I'm going to try to give it my best shot on today's show. But that's why I have two awesome co-hosts on the show with me today, and two guests on the show with me today that are going to help me through this one. Ultimately, we're going to be talking about the top performers in Pool B and who stood out, and we're going to talk about the results of Pool B specifically. We did a show for Pool A. It was an entertaining one as well. So this is going to be quite entertaining too, specifically with the guys that have performed so far in this tournament. But before we get going and before I bring on the guests on the show, don't forget to smash that like button, click that subscribe button, and the notification bell for all future videos. But also do not forget to subscribe to the latest issue of the magazine. So click on the description in the description section below, and you'll get it 100% free, and all back issues as well 100% free. So let's get into today's topic. Really excited about this one. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket
Hey,
Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moedin. This is Aditya. This is Paul back with us again. And this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today we're going to be speaking about Pool B of the CSA T20 tournament. So really excited about this one. Welcome guys. Really good to see you all. Just to go straight into this one, someone already, Dick's already asking why Yanaman is not playing in the tournament. It's because Yanaman's team hasn't played yet in the tournament. So that is the reason why.
you'll be playing on Monday at 10.
Yeah, you'll be playing with, he plays now for the GBets Rocks, it's called, not Poland anymore. So it's GBets Rocks. I was actually at the launch, guys. Very interesting. It was quite fun, quite nice to actually speak to the CEO and sit down with some of the people that are involved with the marketing behind the Rocks and what their thought processes were when thinking about make the new name, etc. It's very interesting. There's actually a cool video actually on their channel as well, on their page, that you guys can go look at. It's a very nice summary of everything that happened. But guys, let's get straight into it. Welcome to the show, Paul. I'm gonna hand it over to you as a welcoming gift because obviously you haven't been here in quite some time. You guys must also head over to his channel and subscribe there too. You can explain to the guys where
Oh
these are
yes.
social
Oh,
media as
it's
well.
it's One World Sports Radio. On YouTube, just type in One World Sports Radio and you'll find it. We do a podcast called the Full Quota Podcast. And it's myself and Tim, who's also been on this platform. We cover everything else. It's all the same. It's the same thing, different angles. Khalid's got some interesting angles. I have some interesting angles on my end. And yeah, just go and check it out. We have some breaking news on Pool D, which starts on Monday, regarding what the Warriors did. We got a bit of a lovely SMS mid show today from a lovely Robbie P to tell us what's going on.
Yeah, awesome. So, Paul, let's get into it. What are your thoughts on Paul B, and what was the performances that stood out to you the most? I know obviously the first one that springs to mind is obviously someone like Riley Rousseau, but are you going to the more obvious ones, or do you have someone else that you really want to
Stand-up
pick out?
performances. Woo! Cameron Delport. Guys, I'm sorry, but Cameron Delport needs an MSL contract quickly. Yes, his average maybe 22, but the man sure knows how to hit a ball. He was he. The problem with him is that the guys around him are very young. Mohakan is very young. Luke Schlem is very young. They did beat the Dolphins in the preseason, which is why I thought they were going to beat the Titans yesterday. But they kind of felt very top heavy. But Cameron Delport is a menace at the top for the Tuskers. Did really, really well there. Yeah, I think for me that was the one. The other one that stood out for me, and I know the Titans fans might not be happy, but is Oguhle Cele. Um, yes, I think Oguhle has been part of the Proteas setup, but that was because of the whole Pakistan situation. The problem with the Titans side was they were so reliant on the ball. It looked like it was a Proteas strategic tactics where bowlers are going to win you out the game. But Corbin Bosch isn't a number one pace bowler for a team yet. Dan Khalim is off color. He was really underwhelming. And the question was, who's the next guy to step up? Because Junior Dahl is injured, Lungi's with the Proteas, and he came through. He was quick. He bowled with a lot of aggression, and he did quite well. But for me this weekend, something that was really exciting was Gerald Coetzee. I was so impressed with how Gerald has worked with Alan Donald. The leaps he's taken, he bowled really well. He bowled better than his strike partner Miguel Petores, who everybody's raving about, and that says a lot about who Gerald Coetzee is. And he gave that night side something that they need to consider going into the quarterfinals. So I was really happy to watch Gerald Coetzee. You can see he's done the work with Alan Donald.
Now, I mean, I was quite surprised that Cameron Dalport didn't get like a bigger or first division side as a team, because I mean he was part of the Paul Rocks winning championship team. And I really and he did well for them. He was really a good part of that team from a chemistry point of view, of the field as well. The way he was, I saw him come to an event at Wynberg Boys the one day. The whole Paul Rocks team actually visited, as well as some of the Blitz players, and I just saw the way he was with the kids and the way he was with his teammates. I mean, he really got along really well with he gets along with everybody really. And yeah, I was quite surprised that he never got a major contract.
I'll tell you why. Outside of T20, Cameron Delport in the other formats hasn't been that great. And that's one of the reasons why this new domestic setup is quite interesting, because the T20 mercenaries, as you would call them, are, you would find they can find they're finding their homes in Division 2, because that's where they are from a longer format game. Like, for instance, a Jonathan Van Dier would have helped the Titans, but he's not good enough to cover all three formats, that he's probably going to have to go a step down. And to a certain extent, that's how I think they did all the contracting. They didn't consider one format, which is why, for instance, the Titans gave us a lineup on day one of everybody whose strike rate was under 120 in the top six. And you're sitting there going, how do these guys expect to win games? But these guys are all long format players. So I think that's where we found ourselves a little bit, guys like Cameron Delport outside of the thing. For instance, Marco Murray is playing in Division 2. Marco Murray should be, for me, in Protea's consideration. But he's playing Division 2 cricket for Border.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that point. 100% you're correct there, I feel. That would have been probably the thinking behind him doing that. And I mean, I feel that you could have two different squads. You can actually three different squads. Actually, I don't feel that just because you pick a Division 1 side that has to be the Division 1 side. You know, for all three formats necessarily. I think you can mix it up. I mean, they could have picked the T20s differently to what they do for first class in one day, for the one days, especially for this knockout competition. But unfortunately, that's not how they're thinking. I mean, I'm looking at the CSA is trying to make things. How can I say? Like I look at it and everything has to be linked almost. Like even with regards to calling what teams you're going to call your names. I'm sure CSA had something to do with that. That the teams had to have one name right across the boards if you have for your MSL team as well as your your T20 team and obviously first class team, whatever the case may be. So in the domestic setup as well. So a lot of teams had to figure out, and I looked at a lot of teams scrambling around thinking, what are we going to call ourselves? Or the Knights, are they going to keep their name as the Knights? The Titans, are they going to keep their names as the Titans? With the Cobras, it was switched to the Blitz, the Western Province Blitz. Were they going to keep with the Rocks? I mean, Boland is there's so much history behind Boland, even the black and gold. There's so much history behind the black and gold, and yet they've switched to the Rocks, a successful brand for them. and now they have the GBS Rocks, and they're going to be wearing that colors as well. They released the colors as well at the on the, a lot of people would have said it's knick-knack colors initially. They said it looks like the knick-knacks, man.
Oh, they
I'm
did.
not falling. Yeah, I'm not falling into that bracket necessarily
It was the
100%, but
chutney knickknacks.
it's just
You know those ones.
yeah, I know those ones. But Aditya, from your point of view, the Pool B performances, we spoke in depth about Pool A and what Pool A was about, and who we thought was top performers over there, and what we like to see and what we didn't like to see. I mean, specifically, we highlighted the fielding performances in that first pool in Pool A. There was a lot of misfields and dropped catches, and it was quite untidy. And some of the senior bowlers, like for example, we mentioned a few in the previous review. Um, what was your thoughts on this particular pool? A little bit more competitive. What do you think? I know it was hit by rain. That was
Yeah.
unfortunate. But what is your thoughts holistically about some of the performances and this pool?
Disappointing to see Pumalanga and KZN Inland not make it, and to see the rain as well. But good on the Knights. They put on some good performances. Riley Rousseau, coming back into the circuit and scoring two consecutive half centuries. That was solid. Cameron Delport, as Impo said, he's been around for a long time, and to see him play in South Africa in particular is quite solid. His name has been going around in the PSL, and we've seen him there quite a bit. But it's good to see him perform in South Africa. In general, could say excellent player. And the more he gets to play in these competitions, the better it is for him, because he did have quite some time before this tournament where he didn't really play a lot of cricket. So yeah, I guess it's these players in particular stood out.
And for me, particularly, it's good to see the senior players step up. I like the tournaments where senior players really show their class and play at their top game, because it gives the younger guys opportunities to either learn from them or challenge themselves against these guys. To take a big wicket, like if you take a wicket of Riley Rousseau, I mean, you must be feeling that feeling inside of you must just be waiting to explode inside of you, because it's a massive wicket to take. He's played around the world. He's a superstar. I mean, obviously, we would have liked him to play maybe in the likes of maybe play in the likes of the IPL a lot more and things like that. But ultimately, he's been quite good in England. I mean, he's a star at his county, etc. So, I mean, ultimately, I think it's been a good tournament so far, balanced tournament. Yes, there's always going to be negatives and things that we wish could have been better. Always. Like, for example, the fielding for me, I think that needs to get a little bit better. When Riley Rousseau dropped that first catch, I thought, oh no, is Riley going to be one of those underperformers in the tournament? And then he pulled out half century like he did. So righting his wrongs. What's your thoughts on the fielding, Umpo? I know the outfields and the fields are not maybe at that standard of like a Newlands or something like that, or Wanderers necessarily. And the weather also plays a part in that as well, and also the money as well, and the amount of games played on the field as well in a short space of time. But what's your thoughts on the fielding necessarily? Where are the negatives that we can clean up?
Look, I don't want to look. Division 2 sides, I give them a pass. That's the reason why they're Division 2 sides. Like if you watch that Northern Cape game against the Lions, and even the Southwestern Districts game against Western Province on Saturday, Southwestern Districts and Northern Cape did everything to lose that game. They did everything. They were dropping catches. They were making mistakes. And Southwestern Districts managed to get over the line. The Lions didn't. And so with the Division 2 side, and this is what happened in the Mpumalanga Rhinos versus Titans game. In Division 2, you're going to get a lot of mistakes. You're going to get a lot of errors, misfields, stupid running in between the wickets, random drop catches. But that's who they are. They win games by making mistakes, and the team that makes the less amount of mistakes wins. The problem is when you make in Division 1, some drop catches are worth more than others, whereas in Division 2, everything's all the same. And so when they play against Division 1 sides, like when Riley dropped that catch, I think in the first over of the match against the Titans, it didn't cost them much because they had Dean Alga out and even whichever way, they were batting so slowly. Quite frankly, they were lucky they had Kamane, Ferreira, and Makanya at the back. Because I still want to talk about the Titans because I think I don't know what's going on there. But I'm okay with Division 2 sides making mistakes. They have to learn and understand that it's going to cost them games. And for the Mpumalanga Rhinos, that cost them games. That cost them a game. They had it in their hands, and they had drop catches before then. They had drop catches even when they came back. Then they decided to run like stupidly in the wickets, which I don't begrudge them for because they needed to rotate the strike. But for me, as a Division 2 side, what I want is when we play the ODI tournament, you must be better. You must be more buttoned up. But if you're a Division 1 side and you're dropping catches, there's no excuse. So that drop catch from Riley Rousseau, there was no excuse there at all. Some of the Titans players misfielding and stuff like that, there's no excuse there. So it hasn't been great from a Division 1 perspective because they feel as though because they're playing a Division 2, they can get away with it. Whereas, like, for instance, even buys, like Gian Kluter is a experienced wicketkeeper. He's played for the Proteas as a wicketkeeper in T20s, but he's allowing balls to go through his legs. And which are routine. So for me, that is inexcusable. But like from a tournament perspective, I want more boundaries. I'm sorry, but that pitch in Bloom was a much better pitch than the one in Kimberley. And the teams that played in Bloom were much better than the teams that played anything outside of the Rhinos, because I honestly thought the Tuskers could bat a lot better. But what I got from the Titans, the Knights towards as for a certain extent it was just a continuation of the type of cricket we play as the Proteas. It was stay in, keep a lot of wickets, and put a lot of pressure on the back end for you to be able to score. The Titans were lucky because when they got to over 16, they were already at 90 in that first game. They got lucky to get to 143, and I'm sure they thought the game that was a pass score. It was way bad from way far from a pass score. And so for me, that was my issue. Even when the Knights played the Tuskers, I thought the Knights could have taken the Tuskers to 180, 190. I understand overcast conditions were a little bit clammy, but the Tuskers don't have a bowling attack to scare you. So I don't understand what type of cricket we are looking to play. I have an interview coming out on Monday with Hilton Moreng, the coach of the women's team. And he speaks about the channels of communication between the national team head coach and the provincial head coaches regarding how the women's team is set up. Is that communication working in the men's setup? Because I'm looking at the same old. It's the same type of cricket we played in March from a franchise perspective, and it's just carrying on. And I'm sitting there going, no, guys, these are the best. In Bloom and Kimberley, you have the best batting pitches in the country. You get the pace and the bounce, but it doesn't do much off the seam. The wicket is largely flat, so it won't do much. It won't crack. The ball's not going to do much off the seam, and all you do is play. That's the reason why Reynald van Donde is living in Bloom, because they're the best wickets in the country, and we got that this week, but we didn't get the runs. So I don't understand where the thing comes in, and the one reason is Jeff Toyana and Mandla Mashimbi gave us for 3 games gave us a starting lineup where his top 6 batsmen, none of them has had a strike rate over 120 in T20s. So I don't know what's going on. And then from the Knights' perspective, Piet van Biljon, we're now all of a sudden starting to see and question Piet van Biljon's Protea colours and Protea selections, because this guy hasn't carried a domestic for the past year. Yes, he's there, but this Knights team is pretty much Riley Rousseau and Farhan Berhadin from a batting perspective. Everyone else is pitching in, but they're not doing much. So I don't know from a tactics perspective what we're trying to get. I think Group A was a little bit better from a boundary perspective. I think the Lions did try and attack with the players they had. They just need to pick the right shots. Western Province batted quite well for some parts of that, for large parts of that tournament. But in Group B, I just sat there going, guys, are we playing Proteas cricket again?
Proteas cricket again.
Is there a fitness issue in cricket in the country?
There probably is. Well, yeah, I think, look, well, look, we've chatted with Craig Govender, and he says no, that all teams have to work to a CSA standard. But I know in the Division 2 sides, these guys are actually getting contracts, so they actually have a yearly contract, so they are professionals. That's the other problem that I had. But it's like the first games of the season, so you got to give them leeway.
Because the reason I ask is that over the last couple of years, certainly in Indian cricket, uh, in the national team, there has been a transformation in the fitness standards, and I think what was it, 17.2 or 17.5 was the yo-yo test mark, and then obviously they started doing the 2 kilometer time trial. But that same standard was then applied to the NCA as well, the National Cricket Academy, and every player who's coming through the NCA and in the India A and under 19 levels as well has to follow that same parameter. So that's why I was curious about
So
what is going on in South Africa.
I can answer that. So the yo-yo test is no longer there, thank God. 17 and a half is 17 and a half is a monster to get. I think
it's
the most
not
I ever
because New Zealand had 20.5 as their minimum requirement. Yeah. And I think they still use the yo-yo test. 17.5 is not particularly hard, because I know Ashish Nehra, who played cricket for India till the age of 40, he was regularly getting 18.5 and 19.
That's like a full sprint.
Yeah.
So in South African cricket, it's a 2 kilometer time trial, largely used at the Proteas level. At the domestic level, it's a little bit less. I still think they use the yo-yo test at the domestic level, but the whole plan was to have every province following the national level. But I do think that there's a little bit more leeway for players at the provincial level. But if you have to step up into the national team level, you'll be held to that standard. It's 2 kilometers that you have to complete, 4.5 minutes a kilometer, which is a lot. It's a lot.
But if you look around in the teams as well, certain teams and certain players hold certain standards within the team as well. So when I used to sit around certain camps, you could see, like, if you sit around the Lions camp before, you used to see guys taking a run around the field after a match. And after certain matches, they'll be taking laps around the field, for example. You see the likes of, like, there was a certain standard when it comes to gym and fitness at the Cobras as well. A lot of the guys were like pushing each other with regards to that in fitness levels. So besides your fitness that you actually have to do within the domestic setup, we know Boucher spoke about it as well. He said that certain players need to be a certain fitness. There was that camp that people went on to lose some weight and to get fit again. The standards are supposed to be like Craig Govender said, the standards are supposed to be adhered to a CSA level. But I don't know how much choice the franchise actually has, or the province actually has in that.
Funnily enough, yesterday, Chennai was playing yesterday, yeah. So Faf gave an interview after the game.
Don't bring up Faf's name. Makes me sad.
Faf gave an interview after the game. So he's obviously had the concussion, and he still has some lingering neck issues that he's in treatment for. But in sub 40-degree temperatures, like 40-45-degree temperatures in the UAE, he's fielding the first 6 overs of power play in the circle, so that's fine. But he's basically going long on to long off for 14 overs at the age of 37. That is insane. He must be incredibly fit to be able to do that.
Yeah, Faf's the fittest guy in that. What was the fittest guy in that Proteas side?
One of them
by a mile. But it's also about a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of fitness. It's a lifestyle of making the correct decisions. Choosing not to eat the chips, but to eat the things. And we're seeing that in Khalid's favorite team. All of a sudden, they're no longer serving dessert at Manchester United. The poor guys. But
it's not that they deserve it. This guy.
but if you look at but that's what makes guys get that longevity, and you need that in South African cricket, especially for the older guys. But I look at the younger guys, and that's what impressed me about the Rhinos. That's what impressed me about the Tuskers. They were fit. They were ready. They just needed to brush up on tightening up on the basic skills and everything else. And it kind of disappoints me, but I'm hoping that maybe next year when we do more contract reshuffles, that you'll get a lot more senior players coming down into these teams to kind of help these youngsters be better from that basics. Because, for instance, it's the Rhinos could have beaten the Titans had there been somebody with a little bit more experience in that middle order, because they needed 70 of the last seven of 7 overs. They needed, I think it was 31. What is it? 34, 32 or 40, 41, which is fine and great because you can walk it home. But they just felt that they just felt the pressure, and you could see how young they were, what they need. They didn't know what was going on, and you're staring a defeat against the mighty Titans. And so that's what you kind of need to get going down. And also the fitness levels and everything else will improve, because they'll be able to, I think now, once they get themselves, because you're seeing now teams are getting sponsorships now. So that would mean you'll get a full-time physio, you'll get a full-time fitness guy, and you'll be able to watch these guys grow and get themselves through. Like, for instance, in Mpumalanga, I don't think they'll be playing most of the games in White River. Where are the rest of the guys staying? Are they driving 100 kilometers to go to practice? So a lot of fitness issues come to the fact that go out the window, because I can't run the 2 laps around the field at the end of the game or in the practice. I need to get into my car and go home. So there's a lot of things that will work themselves out as they go along, as the season goes along. But I'm happy right now. I'm okay. The only thing is, I want the Division 1 sides to show me that they're Division 1 sides. What Jeff and Uncle Jeff and Mandla provided to us from the Titans, I don't think the Titans deserve to go through. I really don't. I think they just got lucky on yesterday morning that they put the Tuskers into bowl first, and it kind of worked. And somehow an injury, because here's the thing, right? We all complain about a team carrying a captain to a World Cup who doesn't deserve to be there. Dean Elgar is the captain of the Titans. He got a hamstring injury yesterday, and we discovered a new batsman who could actually hit the ball at a very nice strike rate. That's Jan-Hendrik Potgieter. So maybe the Titans need to try and find ways to rejig their batting lineup before that quarterfinal against SWD.
Yeah, but I think it's something that we're going to see probably a lot with the Lions and the Titans this season. Without their top quality Proteas players in the setups, a lot of them are playing for the Proteas. It's a lot of resource. It's almost like they're forced to play a lot of their second. You wouldn't say second string, but basically, if they have everybody in the team, all the Proteas players, they look obviously very fierce. But I think it's a good thing for the Titans and the Lions. I think this was a good wake up call for the Lions, for example, and the Titans, to really give those next fringe players the opportunity to take responsibility and say, you guys, I'm going to be the main guy here. Someone like Atayan Khalim and some Makanya, I feel as well. I think that those guys are going to get an opportunity to shine and show what they're capable of. So I'm very excited about that. But this is why I love this tournament. I mean, we're even going to get to see S19 take on these guys, and that's what I'm the most excited about. So I'm really looking forward to that, and then playing at the highest level. What Shukri can do with this team from a mental perspective. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to try to do a little bit more live shows now and again in between our pre-recorded shows, because I miss it. I'm just going to say, stuff you, YouTube algorithm. I miss doing the live shows. Let's do a little bit more of them. I'll speak to Aditya about it as well and see if he agrees. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and every single back issue is 100% free. The link is in the description for all of that. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell for all future videos as well. Please do that right away if you have the opportunity to do so. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Sunday evening with another podcast show. Take care, everybody.